Hey, it's Chris. Liege Games. Let's talk money. Let's talk dollars and cents. Let's talk the taboo subject that, you're not supposed to talk about at work. You're not supposed to talk about online. You're not supposed to compare with your colleagues. But let's talk about it in board games. It's all the rage right now. So let's talk about it. How do you feel about people getting paid on my side of things? And it's an interesting concept. It's an interesting dilemma. And I see the argument go back and forth about journalistic ethics and, what's okay and what's not. And the fact that there's no independent sort of organizations that will pay people to produce content. And so, people also have to make ends meet. And, where is that line, right? And we're going to do this just freeform. As if I do things another way, right? The first thing I think of when I think of people getting paid is contrary to a lot of other professions, where you see the larger, the more notable getting paid more. And that's definitely true here. It also seems to be people will pay for, at least the concern being positivity, right? Where certain situations, and it's becoming more and more prevalent nowadays, that if you put a little bit of a P in front of your review, you can get paid for it. Say it's just a preview, and leave out some of the negatives, or most of the negatives. What's weird is that as long as you have very high production value, or as long as you do that on a consistent basis, publishers especially note that. It's really interesting on my side of things to see things, because I didn't really realize how much money was actually involved on that aspect of things. How there are literally websites, services, packages that people or groups of people together will bundle out for, this much for an interview, this much for a preview, this much for a live playthrough on Twitch, on YouTube, recorded playthrough with their thoughts on it for X, Y, and Z. And we're talking, $100 to $500 to $700. And these are just the ones I've seen. I'm not privy to anybody's offer sheets or things like that. I have no clue what some of the larger, more well-known people are getting compensated or not. It's also a blurred line even on my side of things. Like, there's a few people I know that don't get anything, and there's a few people that I go, are they getting something? I just don't know. And I'm not throwing accusations out there. This isn't one of those videos. I don't care. If people are getting paid, so be it. But I just think it's always interesting. I hear a lot of clamoring online, especially, about the feeling about this in general. That people do not like people getting paid for positivity. Because, let's be honest, some of it definitely is that. Now, not all of it by any means. But some of it definitely is. And yet at the same time, sort of like marketing in general, it must work if you have repeat business, if you have repeat customers, even if they are not the same customers every time, that people are going to them for a reason. Surprising is when you see the numbers behind some of those videos, when you look at the subscribing count or the view count, it's really interesting breakdown, because you'll see things at one extreme or the other. That these are the high end, get tons of views, have tons of subscribers. Or these are the low end, where their subscriber count is still, it's not low by any means, but the comparison between the number of views that the content gets and the subscribers that they have, there is a huge discrepancy. And we all have that on certain videos. I mean, some of my review videos are, But I mean, this is like, 5,000 subscribers and you get 200 views on every video. That sort of thing. But yet you end up with prototypes and pre-releases and things like that. And that begs the question, like, what do publishers prefer? Do they prefer? Are they looking at those sorts of things? I don't really know because, again, I've not been on that side. Some obviously do and some obviously don't. Some care more about the sheer exposure. Some care more about the sheer positivity. I think just from my own experiences already, and I'm only going to speak personally here, there is a feeling of I want to be positive about this because I fear ruining a relationship with a publisher. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Because even where I'm at, I'm relatively small. I'm a small fry. But because I have not been gushing on some certain scenarios, I think it has hurt me. And that's the dichotomy, that's the dilemma in these situations. I'm doing this as a side hobby. This is not how I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm not doing this as, a big part of my income or anything like that. The only reason that people are even willing to talk to me is more because of you guys. The fact that, you guys surprisingly subscribe to me, and even more surprisingly, you actually watch some of the stuff I put out. Because if neither of those things had happened, I'm Joe Schmo from nowhere, flyover state, right? But I raised this question when I started the channel and when I hit 1,000 subs, and I said, what am I going to do? I'd love to, don't get me wrong. Again, I'd love to get paid for this. That would be, tremendous. But I'll be honest with you, I don't have offers flowing out of the woodworks either. Transparency, lift up the curtain and do the whole Wizard of Oz thing. See the wizard for what he is behind the curtain. I'm not getting a ton of offers. Most of the stuff, almost 90% of the stuff that I have tried to get or that I have gotten or have even had contact with in terms of publishers, designers, anything, has been initiated. And most of the other 5 to 10% has been very small Kickstarter creators reaching out to me after seeing some of my videos of, the roundup that I do of just everybody. So it's not like I am, declining this left and right saying, okay, I'm only going to do this. Well, because one, I only can talk about stuff I like. Even if you paid me, I can't talk about stuff I'm just not interested in. I would be open to being paid to talk about stuff I like. That's a no-brainer. I think we all would, right? Give me a video game, give me a board game, pay me to talk about it too. That'd be amazing. But pay me to talk about it only positively. If I really like it, I'm just going to be honest either way. And there's stuff that I've been sent for review-wise that I really like, and there's been stuff I've been sent for review-wise that I'm kind of like, okay, this is kind of okay. And it's tough. It's a lot tougher than I thought it would be at this point. I can see why people go that route. Because unless you're someone massive and you're getting massive funds through something like Patreon and view counts through YouTube, it really isn't sustainable any other way unless you're doing like a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter. Several of the bigger channels, the 5-figure channels, will do, as you see, Kickstarters every year. Game Boy Geek, Brothers Murph, Dice Tower, all of those guys put out one of those every year. The only other really alternative is to be sponsored by somebody. And again, those are few and far between as well. So I can see why, if YouTube gives me $200 a month for all of my views, and a publisher is going to pay me $200 to $400 to $500, whatever it may be, for a positive preview video of half an hour. Yes, it takes more time to make that and create it and do all that. But, a month on YouTube, one video, you can see where the dichotomy is. That also makes it really tough when you have also channels that only talk positively, myself included. How do you discern which ones you're talking positively about because you're being paid promotion, and which ones do you talk about positively because you just truly, honestly, frankly love and like and can enjoy it without any qualms in the first place? If everything is really good, and doesn't have any faults, how do you discern which is which? And I think that only goes back to you as the viewer. Only you as the viewer can influence those things. Because like I said earlier, I hear people shouting all the time online that they don't like those things. They don't like the paid previews. But you know what's getting the clicks in a lot of places? The high production paid previews. And so if you're a publisher, look at it from that side of things. I mean, you're starting to see more paid previews show up on the Kickstarter pages nowadays than you are just videos in general sometimes. As I was talking to Alex from Board Game Co., he said, he gets a lot more games and does a lot more videos of things than sometimes people realize if you're not subscribed to him. Because if you're only judging based on what's on the actual Kickstarter page, if he didn't have a completely glowing endorsement, he mentioned to me, like, it's funny how sometimes that one doesn't show up on the Kickstarter page, even at his level. And you would think, given his brand recognition nowadays, that a video from him, I guess maybe it holds almost too much weight in that sense. That people, if it doesn't get the, that they don't want people to see someone with that prominence saying, not as perfect things about them. The ideal scenario for me, from that side of things, would be a paid playthrough. It's real nice sometimes when you have people that can just say, look, I'm getting paid just to do a rules explanation. Something objective. And that's nice. But there can only be so many rules people too, right? Ideally, yeah, playthroughs would be something great because you can just show off the game. Because, I don't know about you guys, for me personally, when I look at videos, I want to see how the game is actually played. Because that's the element of things. When it really gets down to it, when you're looking at it, money or no money, how the game is played. Now again, take it in a bubble. Take the person playing it, take the emotion that they may or may not express out of it. Take the hyperbole of quotes out of it. Myself included. Take my hyperbole out of it when I'm talking about it, how wonderful it is. And you distill it down to the most basic part of this all. When this game is being played, do I like what is happening? Those are the most useful videos. Period. In my opinion. But that's the sort of thing I would just love to do. So if people were going to pay me to just play the game, and they said, you know what, don't offer your opinion. If they said, just play the game, we'll pay you just to show your subscribers, your 15,000 subscribers. Couldn't resist, sorry. Just how the game plays so that they can get a great sense of how it is for them and for you. Leave the opinion out of it. I'd be okay with that, right? Because then all you're seeing is the pure product. You're not seeing or having my opinion. Now, again, it'd be tough for me to do that because I'd have to do a whole nother video or something else. And that's sort of where, as you've heard me talk about in the past and just even earlier in this video, like, to compensate for that money-wise, how do you do that? It's tough. I think the next video in this series, these short blurbs, is going to be about money part 2. And what you guys would like to see. Because I think that's also what stimulates conversation. And growth. So, let's see where this goes. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay classy.